What's your biggest flex that you'll never tell anyone? I haven't used heroin since the 24th of September. Was out on a date with a hot girl. After dinner her car wouldn't start. Pop the hood, I said I saw an engine. I'm pretty sure. Not a clue whatever else I was looking at. She looked at me and I punched the battery with the side of my hand and told her to try again. Carring started. I felt like Fonzie. Deaf person here, who wears hearing aids and relies heavily on lip reading. I get excited on the extremely rare occasions I can figure out a spoken phrase without any lip reading. It almost never happens. Or when I recognize a song I know. But there's no point in bragging because other people will just think I'm not that deaf and make less of an effort to face me speak clearly. Once I was in the passenger seat of my car while my wife was driving down the freeway. A truck driver and me locked eyes and started communicating using hand signals, waving and such. He was drinking up and go and gestured in a way that was asking me if I wanted one. I obviously said yes and we both rolled our windows down. He threw it to me and I actually caught it. We both laughed and I have never enjoyed a drink more in my life. It was a had to be there moment that I remember fondly but no point telling anyone really lol. I was quoted on some literary website one time for something I said off the cuff in an argument. I also got to play a few shows with some of my favorite bands of all time. But I'm so far removed from that music scene now that no one I know would ever care about it except for me. When I was 15 I won a scholarship to study ballet in Russia. I got accepted into Mensa and then immediately realized I don't want to hang out with the type of people who join Mensa, so I never went through with it. You passed the real intelligence test, Imo. By shunning the Mensa douchebaggery when you could have flaunted it obnoxiously. I finished a tube of chapstick without losing it once. I bought some then relatively worthless Apple stock because I thought I'd be able to eBay the stock certificate with the rainbow Apple logo when the company went out of business. My investment guy just thinks I'm really clever. I've not corrected him. I was in the grocery store and saw an older woman standing in the aisle comparing what was in her cart to what was in her wallet. Obviously counting to see if she could afford everything. Based on her body language as she walked away I could tell that the answer was no. So I took a 20 out and walked up to her and said, "Ma'am, when you were over there just a second ago this fell out of your wallet." I handed her the bill. And just walked away so she wouldn't be embarrassed if she figured out I was lying. I did hear her say thank you. So I half turned and told her you're welcome. Have a nice night. It was only $20. But I think it made a difference to her. And that felt amazing. I am on the top page of the high scores for runa crafting in the game Old School RuneScape. Edit. Since my comment made it to r/2007 scape. If any mods from r/2007 scape see this comment, please unban me from the subreddit. I raised $100. 000 for a scholarship fund in the memory of my deceased twin brother. In my public speaking class I had to give a speech on procrastination. I wrote the speech an hour before class. In my feedback notes I was told I had great preparation. Some of my memes I created on Tumblr still float around to this day. I keep light up sketches under my bed to walk around the house at night. Had a class where the professor was said that everyone did really bad on an essay and was yelling at the class. He said that aside from one person who got a 97% he was disappointed with everyone there. I had the 97%. I've been clean 6 months off heroin for the first time in 5 years. Edit. I'm speechless. Thank you to everyone that gave awards and all of your sweet words. I'm proud of everyone that's also clean. I'm newish to Reddit and this was a warm welcome. Zoxo. I never get bored. Ever. It's a useful superpower when I'm stuck in certain situations. I'm never interested. Edit. My first awards and highest rated comment ever is about not being interesting in anything is so on brand for me. I saw Elton John in Vegas. Red Piano Tour. During Benny and the Jets, I can whistle extremely loudly. I nailed the whistle part that is on live version of the song that plays on the radio. He smiled. Me and my girlfriend created in the past a YouTube channel for kids. Playing with toys using only our hands and voices. We had videos hitting 300k plus views. But we uploaded few videos, like 10 videos, because our priorities changed and we stopped. But we were still able to make several $100s from them. And the videos still generate some money today after many years. I think if we had continued with that, maybe we would be able to make a lot of money. I regret we didn't keep uploading more videos. Do you know that random, intuitive ideas you have sometimes? Pay attention to them. Your deep you is smarter than yourself sometimes. At one point I could sing along perfectly to We Didn't Start the Fire. I still know most of the words but I'm always so embarrassed to sing in front of other people lol. I have a no gag reflex. This will go to my grave. I have enough old, valuable Magic the Gathering cards to buy a car. New, really nice car. I don't tell anyone I will because they're from when I was young and collected them. And my current social circle would think it's kid nerd stuff and wouldn't understand. Doesn't get me down. Though. Current plan is to hold on to them until they go up enough over time to match my mortgage balance. Then use them to pay off my house. Edit. I appreciate all the comments. I currently actively keep up with the MTG market. And I'm a pretty close follower of them Tgfin and sub. As far as the makeup of the cards. RL cards. Mostly from 93-94. And complete sets from Urza's block and earlier. Consider a safety deposit box. Floods. Fires. Mold. etc. can really kill your valuables. Edit. Thanks for the silver and other awards kind strangers. I dropped a fry from my mouth and slapped it to try and save it. I lived with my grandparents my whole life who lived in a small little house across the street from a big fancy neighborhood development. They lived in the same house for 40 years before the development. It was a very bad hill on a busy road with the neighborhood entrance at the bottom of the hill which was across the street from our house. Me and my grandpa would pull people out of wrecks all the time. Saved a bunch of lives but sadly saw over 10 people die on that hill growing up. The big fancy people in that neighborhood would always bring us food and gifts. They called my grandpa the gatekeeper. I intentionally don't step on ants just because they're cool. I don't remember when I started doing it. Possibly after I had my kid but I avoid killing insects when I'm outside. I always think to myself who am I to end this creature's existence for no reason other than I'm bigger? Except for wasps. I hunt them down. I'm one of those people that with minor changes to facial hair I'll look like a completely different person. It'll be useful if I ever need to go on the lam. Eater. I developed the habit of carrying 4 different types of photo IDs all with different hair and facial hairstyles because of this. I saw a lizard in the middle of a busy road. I bent down on the side of the road and called for it as I put my hands out and he ran straight into my arms. I carried him to safety and didn't think anything of it until I heard a stranger behind me go. Did y'all see that? She's a lizard whisperer. No one will see this because I'm way late but when I was in elementary school me and a friend were playing video games together and he started choking on a piece of food stuck in his throat. It wasn't getting dislodged so I did the Hinleash maneuver and it came out. I don't remember anyone else finding out what happened. I ran over a half marathon at night for 5 months every day. I shouldn't be proud because that was my lowest point mentally but I was. Eater. Jesus, I went to sleep and woke up to 80 notifs. Thanks. I wanted to add that it was because of an obsession with exercise. For those who were confused as to why I don't want to be proud of it. My biggest flex I keep quiet is that I made right about $15,000 playing a video game semi-professionally. Now is the time where people think stuff like that is cool but 2 years ago when it was happening I got made fun of by my girlfriend the one time I mentioned it. Edit so everyone knows, this is an XGF as to her making money playing video games was lame. but sex with other guys was still cool to her. Woman in my office had a fairly long piece of TP attached to her shoe and I stepped on it and detached it from her shoe. I felt like a superhero. I still feel like a superhero about it. I'm on level 4,000 in Candy Crush. Edit. I should have put a serious tag on this. We had a crappy scatter park here in town. The town was posting pictures saying they would update it to this awesome skate plaza. Years go by. Still the same crappy wooden ramp. One day I wrote a letter to Rob Dyrdek asking him to come to my town and build a scatter park I drew up and sent with the letter. Very calculated for a 12-year-old lol. Couple months, maybe a year goes by. I'm in the car on the way to Pennsylvania when I notice Rob is in my town at the park talking to the mayor. In a year and a half we got the first Street League replica skate plaza. IDK how many PPL wrote letters to Rob asking for a scatter park in my lil town, but I like to think that was totally me who made that happen. Still trying to know for sure. When my girlfriend and I worked at the same bar, I threw a coaster at her like a frisbee. It arced over her and like 20 customers only to land perfectly on the neat stack of other coasters like 50 feet away. It was so uncool, but nobody noticed except one customer who I later had to kick out for taking a nap on the bar. No point in telling anybody. But I look back fondly on that moment. Edit. I'm pleased to see that I'm not the only unrecognized Jedi. Neat stories. Everyone. As a kid. Saved a kid from ongoing child abuse by his parents. Was staying over there and had met them only briefly due to them being one of several families hosting us inner city kids out in the rich suburbs while we worked with their kids on a local theater production. This was decades ago for your information. Well, it didn't take the whole week we were in town for me to realize how scared he was, and despite feeling guilty about waiting to report his stories until after our trip, I was told that his parents were investigated soon after and he was moved to other family. I don't know. Feels like a flex and also a tragedy at the same time, since who knows if he ended up any better off. I hope so. Edit. Just wanted to thank everyone so much for the feedback and assurance that being uprooted to a new family may suck initially, but is certainly better than sitting around hoping things ever get better with your abusive existing family. Stay safe everyone. I secretly enjoy everyone's shock when they first meet my wife. I'm not insanely attractive. I'm a nerdy scientist. My wife is a doctor. She's funny. Driven. She's smarter than me. She's 5'9" and could very well be a model. In fact, she's been approached numerous times to move to New York City. We've known each other since 2nd grade. Started dating in college. My high school college friends are still baffled that I casually married the most attractive girl we knew in high school college. Because we both have insanely busy schedules. We can go months or years without meeting each other's co-workers. My favorite reaction from mine is "That's your wife." Dot. Paid off $40k in debt during quarantine due to no more daycare costs for 3 kids. And better paying job for the wife. Also dropped body fat from 14% to 7% using my ghetto ass home gym while everyone was complaining about the quarantine 15. Went from having one family meal a week to almost daily. I don't tell anyone this obviously because there are people going through tough times. Especially family and close friends, and I can empathize with that as it hasn't been completely smooth and there were some stressful moments. I wrote a popular and successful fanfic years and years ago. I still live on that high. Edit. Stop drinking knows. But in real life no one really knows. I'll be 4 years sober in March. 42F. Very happy. Not going back. One decision every day. Edit. Thank you all for the awards and comments. Honestly, I am just sharing something that's very true for me. If it has helped one other person, then that's great. Had no idea this would be interesting to anyone. I have a ton of money. I've always worked whatever jobs. Restaurant server. Retail. Etc. Boring kinda wage slave stuff. My living expenses are low. Studio apartment and just pretty minimal spending. I live a comfortable life just as anyone would with my paychecks. But I got into investing and cryptocurrency online about 8 years ago and just got lucky. Spread out among multiple investments, I'm at almost $8 mil. Literally just kinda threw some extra money at stuff in the first couple years and was able to make really good returns. I live the same life I always did. Almost doesn't feel like I earned this money at all. No one knows. Parents. Family. Friends. I don't want anyone I care about to change their perspective of me because I have this money. Still working a simple job and living in the same studio. I'm comfortable and happy outside of the money. I fixed the connection on a keg of Guinness at my local. On St. Patrick's Day. I mean, it's kinda cool. But who would really care? My debit card went through for a really large amount and the lady behind the counter had been being so smug and irritating for so long, and then she tried to deny my card because it wouldn't go through for that amount, and I asked her to just please try it. The look on her face when it went through was so satisfying. May I never make that larger purchase again. I'm either really good at talking to people and pretty charismatic, or I'm a totally lying buffoon who makes everyone cringe. No in between. My co-workers don't know I was severely abused as a child. Became a raging drug user and alcoholic and moved out at age 17. Somehow went to college and have an extremely respectable job where I look normal. Or at least I think I look passable. My team won second place in a Dota 2 competition at Salt Lake Gaming Con. There were only 2 teams that entered and we got destroyed. I was in the shower once and had been holding in a pee for a while. I attempted to pee over my shoulder and it worked. I have something else to say but I must go to my alt. Edit. Why is this one of my most upvoted comments? It's not that special. I have gotten to a place in my life that unless I tell someone, it is nearly impossible to tell I have autism. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards. I was in line for breakfast at middle school and saw this kid just standing there making no attempt to be in line. Always crowded. Plus short time for recess. So I asked him what's up with him. He said he had no money for lunch today. So I just looked around and started asking people for 1 peso. I'm Mexican. And in no time I had enough for him to buy some food and gave it to him. Sorry for bad English. I can suck my own lips. I beat morbid obesity, which spiraled into a violent battle with anorexia, which I also beat. I eventually went on to get into modeling, weightlifting, and more. Compare pictures of me now with pictures of me from 5 years ago, with pictures of me from 10 years ago, and they all look like completely different people. I have OCD. Like, legit clinically diagnosed. One of my compulsions before treatment was counting things. No matter how large or small the quantity. I counted every step I took while running a marathon and have never forgotten the number. 38. 527. With therapy over the years I have managed to fully manage my illness. I can make the price of any stock go down simply by buying it. I worked at a grocery store in high school. And an older guy from the day crew once came in to grab his check and decided to check on the evening. All high school crew, we hated this guy. He found us to tell us there were some bruised apples that needed removed and started talking to us while tossing an apple in one hand. Eventually he gets tired of the conversation. Starts saying goodbye and for a reason I'll never know. Tried to whip the apple between me and my buddy. Without much thought my right hand wiped out and I caught it. I hardly even registered that I did it. But the look on his face was pure flabbergasted. I acted like it was nothing. And had a little half smile while I tried to suppress my own shock. After he left I was also glad I caught it because it would have made a mess. Which is probably why he threw it. I had a friend who won 100k winning an online poker tournament. I watched him when he got lucky as. A couple years later we are playing a tournament at a local community center and he brought it up to random people we were playing with. No one believed him and he was sort of dejected, so never heard him bring it up again. I can crack both of my ankles at will. Continuously. Every time I eat a popsicle, I bite it and chew it. It makes my teeth feel super cold and fresh. Be gone, foul demon. I pulled over when I saw a house on fire one morning. Ran over and a woman was crying that her child was inside. I ran into the smoke and fire. Down a hallway. Followed the crying. Found the child and carried her outside to her mom. I waited with them until the FD arrived. Then left. Was late for work and got yelled at. Didn't say anything to anyone. Edit. Whoa. Thanks. Everyone. This was a long time ago. Early 90s. I was kind of a screw up at that job. So I was on thin ice. My supervisor was a dick. He always yelled at me when I was in the office. So I avoided the office when I could. The woman was totally flatlined. Full panic. The house was really smoky with solid flames out of the rear. As I turned down the hallway, I could see that the kitchen was really going. I was in and out of the front so quick. I didn't have a chance to talk any sense to myself before the deed was done. Long as I keep my act together. Next month I will have been sober from alcohol and benzos for 13 consecutive years. Edit. Thanks to all for the positive and encouraging words. You're all very kind. In 2004, an ex-NFL cheerleader that I worked with propositioned me for sex. Like, hey, we should leave this bar and go have sex. I couldn't do it because I was secretly sleeping with another co-worker who was at the bar with us. I produce feature films and I have a scholarship for kids to learn from a very famous instrumentalist, which is in my name too. Not saying the instrument because you'd know in an instant. Capital D. I don't tell anyone because there is an idea of being the best of humanity that I want to try and be. The downside is that I attract a lot of psychos, so I keep many things to myself, but this was fun to allude to. I'm also a veteran too. Close bracket. Cheers. I can keep a secret. I believe in myself. I was seen as the stupid, quiet, outsider kid who won't achieve after high school. If I even graduate. Not even 5 years later I bought a house on my own. Work full time. Drive a nice car. And just got accepted to college. I have a loving girlfriend and have control over my depression, ADD, and most of my anxiety. Part of me wants to go to a class reunion to flex on people, and another part of me wants to return the invite with "eat" written in the card. My language skills and vocabulary, in English, are in the 99th percentile with several decimal points. I can do some friggin' amazing things with language. And I really enjoy working with it. In gym class in high school I bet my friend he couldn't make a basket from half court. We were and still are in nerds. He wound up and threw the ball as hard as he could and full stop. Beamed a girl in back of the head. I heard he gave her a legit concussion. I got a free Timbit at Tim Hortons just by winning an arm wrestling match with my friend. Once I was in high school and I was sitting at lunch in 01 and I threw a quarter probably 300 feet across the lunchroom and it landed perfectly in this kid's book bag pocket. My whole lunch table saw it. I actually went and got the quarter back. An African American male, was called my N by an African American male during a basketball game after cooking the other team. I never get fatigued or tired with my workload and can handle a lot of hours and days of work. I just try not to show because everyone expects me to do everything like that when they are all smashed or just being lazy. Yup, definitely keep that one to yourself. I am an RN and I once sat with someone who had no family or friends and held their hand for hours while they died. So they wouldn't die alone. Their loneliness broke my heart during their hospital stay and I wanted them to know someone cared for them while they died.